again, everybody. Welcome to the Backbone Podcast, where common sense still makes sense in a world that is sick and only getting sicker. And if you are an Eagles fan, if you are a fantasy football fan, if you have A.J. Brown on your fantasy football team, you have been concerned, you've been frustrated, you've been annoyed by the lack of production that Brown has been giving you this entire season. And not only are you upset as a fantasy football owner, fantasy football coach, not only are Eagle fans concerned about this, A.J. Brown's very frustrated about this. Now, there used to be a time back in the day when the outspoken or the crazy players were the linebackers. You know, LT was a crazy dude. Mike Singletary was nuts. He had the whole thing with the eyes. Jack Lambert and all those guys. But they didn't voice frustration to the media about their team's play. They went out and said they were going to kill the quarterback and they were going to kill the running back and all that other fun stuff. Good stuff, right? Well, today, the most outspoken players on a football team are the wide receivers. Wide receivers are the prima donnas of the NFL. If they cannot get the ball enough. If they get the ball 5 times a game or 6 times a game, if the team wins by 30 points, they're pissed off that they only got the ball 5 times. Because it's not about winning to these guys. It's about their stats so their agents can go back to owners during their free agency period and demand $30 million. A.J. Brown went on Twitch the other day, and he was playing Madden football, and it just, it's amazing that these guys, they sit at home all day long. He's so concerned about his stats. And listen, it might be the Eagles' offensive game plan too, but the Eagles are winning. The Eagles are winning. That's the danger part. I think they're 8-2. I think they're going to win the division. They're already, I think, 4 or 5 games up on Washington. Washington stinks. That whole division stinks. But they're winning, and he's complaining. That's a bad sign. That's a very bad sign. So AJ is playing video games all night long, and he goes on Twitch, and he pretty much tells fans that if you have me on fantasy, get rid of me. Here he is. He's playing with some dude here. I don't know. But here's what AJ had to say.
I promise you, you might get 200. And I ain't even trolling.
Hey. If you got me on fantasy, man, get rid of me.
Hey, spoiler alert, nigga. Didn't you hear me? Keep it to yourself.
Nah, actually, start him. Say fucking start him, bro. Start him, bro.
That is what has everyone in an uproar right now, is that Brown has pretty much come out and said, hey, if you have me on fantasy, get rid of me. Oops. And this is a major distraction, of course, for the team, for him. The team doesn't need this right now. It's November. We're in the middle of November. This is the part of the season where you separate the men from the boys. Now you start to look at games that are incredibly important on the schedule. Now you start to look at seedings. Now is a time where you hope that your starting lineup does not get these nagging injuries like the 49ers are suffering from. Like, all these teams are just getting injuries after injuries. The Eagles so far have not been bit by this. And the Eagles are, and you can't blame them, the Eagles are primarily a running football team. When their running game is going, everything works. And they have the best. I mean, I think McCaffrey's still top-notch. He's having a great year. But, Barkley is Barkley. And they're going to ride Barkley because they did it last year and they won a Super Bowl out of it. Now, AJ was confronted by the Philadelphia and NFL media today, and he was, I have to say, he was pretty adamant about how he felt. He didn't hold back. He did not hold back. And Brown's stats are not very favorable. I mean, you would think that he would have better stats than this. So far this season, he has 31 receptions, tied for 61st in the league, 408 yards receiving, tied. He's 50th in the league. He has 3 touchdowns, tied for 45th in the league, and his average yard per catch is 13.2 yards per catch at 88th in the league. Those are not AJ Brown type numbers. I mean, this is a pretty dominant wide receiver. I mean, he's a monster of a guy. And he can dominate a game if you give him the ball. But apparently the offense is not geared to getting him the ball. The Eagles are a run-first team. They love to run the football. They can run the football. When they do run the football, they win. I mean, they didn't score a lot of points on Monday night. That was one of the – I mean, these games are getting worse and worse. But they won. I mean, at the end of the day, it's all about winning, isn't it? I mean, that's what it should be about. Whether you get a catch and you win or you get 10 catches and you win, it's all about that most important column, that most important number, and that's the one in the win column. But not for AJ, not for this prima donna. But he did have some words today. 3 minutes and 16 seconds. Let's listen to what AJ has to say.
It's not just solely about my situation. I mean, guys, like, obviously I want to win too, and I think if we're really focusing on winning and doing our job, like, we can't just keep slapping the Band-Aid over the defense doing their job and getting us out of trouble. Like, at what point are we going to pick up our slack as an offense that we're so great, and that's what I'm getting at. It's not about we're not winning or I don't care about winning. All I care about is stats. No, it's been week after week sometimes we're not contributing, we're not doing our job on offense. So you can't just keep slapping the Band-Aid over that, and if you expect to win late in the year and you think you're going to go to it at the end of the year, it's not going to fucking happen. I'm sorry. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. And last year, what it was, thank you for the ring, but it's a new season. They adapted, we have to adapt, and we have to continue to, like, get better and try to find new ways. So that's where the frustration comes in, because it's not about winning, you guys. Like, I want to win, yes. I want to help contribute as well. Do our thing on offense as well. I think that's fair.
Go ahead. Do you feel like you're misunderstood in that?
I don't care if I'm misunderstood. Like, I stand up in front of it and fall on that sword over and over again. Like, it's about doing what we're supposed to be doing on offense. And if we are really in this business for trying to get better, we got to do what we got to do, and not just say, "Oh, it's about wins." So like, as long as we got the win, it's cool. No, that ain't what. No, you cannot do that. Not in this league. We got to continue to get better. We got to do what we have to do on offense to help the defense, to help the special teams.
DJ, when I asked you more guys about the ball coming your way, you said you don't know why, but if you look at the film, look, we don't know what Jones directed at the end of the play, but there were obvious examples where you were wide open and the ball wasn't coming to you. Is that related to whether you're the first read, or is that he's not throwing the ball to you for some reason?
I don't think that's the case at all. I think certain plays have different reads. Despite what it looks like when somebody takes a screenshot, and you can't go off that. That he has certain reads. He has a lot going on in his head that he's trying to process, and then also he has pressure in his face. So, like I said, I don't know. That maybe there's a question for him or KP. So.
AJ, with the last one, folks, with the stream, you described it as venting to your friends.
I didn't.
I'm sorry. So I'm hearing from back here, so you said you're talking to your friends.
Yeah.
So just in a very public setting, why are you comfortable in speaking in that way? Did you think about that? Because obviously we end up in a space talking to you. Just curious why, or how you think about that.
Because after the game, I said all the right answers. I still made a story. right? You know, in that moment where I'm just talking to my friend, having fun with my friend, I'm not apologizing for that. Like I said, because if you have eyes, you can see that. And so, like, it's not that I was throwing anybody on the bus. I'm literally trying to laugh through this shit. This shit is tough. Like, but I'm trying to make fun of the situation and to try to get through it. So, I mean, you know, it is what it is, man.
All right.
It is what it is. And head coach Nick Sirianni has had enough. He doesn't want to talk about this at all. As A.J. Brown has another moment of frustration, and the Eagle reporters were all over it, and they were all over Nick Sirianni. Sirianni has been basically all season deflecting these questions, but today he kind of went off, and I quote, "Guys, I'm close to being done answering these questions about this," Sirianni said when further questioned about Brown's latest comments, which came during a Madden stream on YouTube personality Janky Rondo. Sirianni went on to say he's working hard and he's a big part of this game plan. And we will be going forward. He's working like crazy and he's here and we're excited to have him.
Which language?
What the hell is that? During the Madden stream, as you saw, Brown was asked by Janky how everything was going, both professionally and personally. We didn't see this in that clip, but Brown said no with a laughter and started to explain himself. The reigning Super Bowl champions are well on their way back to the playoffs with a 7-2, I thought they were 8-2, record through 9 games this season. However, Brown's frustration with not getting the ball through most of those games has been a major storyline since the beginning of the season. Now, the Monday Night Football game, the Eagles, they pounded out a 10-7 win over the Packers, which was one of the worst games you'll ever see. But the game was on the road. Those are important games this time of year. Brown had 2 catches on the opening drive, but didn't see another target until the Eagles' final offensive play of the game, an underthrown Jalen Hurts shot to the end zone that went incomplete. Jalen Hurts is not a big-time quarterback. He's like one of those option guys. He's not going to get you the ball. He's not going to get you the ball that much. There's a major difference, and you're starting to see it now. You're starting to see it in New England. You're starting to see it big time in places like Cincinnati, even though the Bengals can't stop anyone on defense. But Flacco is getting the ball to Higgins and Chase like there's no tomorrow. You're starting to see these quarterbacks now developing. And this whole, run first thing or forget your read and just tuck the ball under and run. Those days are kind of over now because these linebackers they're like safeties. They run you down. We're seeing it in New York with Jackson Dart. He's taking a beating with the way he's getting hit. But Sirianni was asked if Brown was becoming a distraction with his off-the-field comments about his performance. Sirianni replied, "No, I don't think so. You can only go off your interactions and how they go about their work on a daily basis, which you guys aren't able to see. No, it's business as usual." What's he supposed to say? Yeah, the motherfucker's a distraction. He's a real pain in the ass. This is public relations. They rehearse these answers. They have media departments. They rehearse these answers, and that's what they tell the media. But AJ is not following the media department or the communications department's cue here. The 28-year-old receiver is clearly not happy with his role with the Eagles offense, despite their winning record. There are rumors that Brown might request a trade before this year's trade deadline. Might have requested a trade before the deadline had passed. Of course, the deadline has passed already, so he's going to remain with the team for the remainder of the season. Brown is a wide receiver that has produced 3 consecutive 1,000-yard seasons. He did it last year when Saquon Barkley had 2,000-plus rushing yards. Brown has had at least 7 touchdowns in each of those 3 seasons. As we said, Brown has 408 yards, 3 touchdowns, 31 catches through those games. He's on pace to have the lowest single season production of his career, which was 869 yards in the final year at Tennessee, where he only played 13 games. This could be an issue. Now, the most important question is, will this derail the Eagles from their repeat hopes? Will this distraction turn into a cancer? Because they do, and they can happen very, very quickly. I'm sure that the powers that be are sitting this guy down and saying, listen, enough of this. We want to get you the ball, and we'll do it when it's appropriate. But we can't force feed it to you, because that's when interceptions happen. And they don't function properly when they're not running the football. They have to do everything off the running game. They cannot be a throw-first team. They don't have the quarterback for that. They are built for power football. Power football wins in January, and as we saw last year, in February. As long as you're getting that money and you're getting those rings, who the fuck cares how many catches you get per game? Apparently, AJ does. It'll be very interesting to see where this goes from here. And I'm telling you, if the Eagles don't make it to a Super Bowl, don't win the Super Bowl, and Brown's numbers are still putrid, it's going to be a very interesting offseason. It'll be very interesting to see how this guy handles himself. This is what happens. This is what happens when you're raised by women. And this guy probably was raised by a single mother. He cries looking for false comfort in social media, just like a woman does. He airs out his grievances to strangers. And he doesn't take responsibility for embarrassing himself and his team. He just told you right there in that interview, I don't care if anybody misinterpreted what I said. That's not how a man behaves. That's not the type of guy you want on your team. Joe Montana was asked once, I think it was a couple of years ago in an interview, if he and Jerry Rice ever had disagreements or arguments, and Montana said no. And there were games where, in those days, they played real defense, not like today. But in those days, when they played real defense, they locked Rice up with 2-3 guys where he could only get maybe 2 or 3 catches. There were times where, the Giants with Bill Belichick as defensive coordinator, they made it a point to stop him. They made somebody else beat you, and the 49ers usually found somebody to beat them because they had Joe. But, Rice did the other things, blocking, running his routes properly, being ready for the ball when it came to him. AJ should take nobody's going to take nobody's Jerry Rice. Nobody's going to take a page from him. But AJ should use that as an example, because he's not a team player. If he cared about winning and only winning, his stats wouldn't mean shit to him. Because stats don't win you Super Bowls. Wins do. And teams do. Teams win Super Bowls. And that's my 2 cents. Thanks again for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share. Remember, my friends, Satan is always busy. Be a man, have a backbone, because masculinity and common sense are worth standing up for. And remember, if it ends in an ism, it's a mental disorder. We'll see you later.